Arlene here. Welcome back to my Country Craft Corner. Someone had asked me about how Chris and I met and what our story is. So I'm fixing to get in the car. Kristen, our kindergarten teacher daughter, texted me last night, and of course I had just been to Hobby Lobby yesterday, but she did ask me to go and see if I could find her some spring stickers for some sorting exercises that she wants to do, sorting lesson plans that she wants to do with her kindergartners. So I told her I would absolutely go to Hobby Lobby for her today. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hop in my car. Chris is out fertilizing. I don't know, doing something in the yard. Not quite sure what he's doing. He's walking around with a spreader. I know that. It's either grass seed or fertilizer. I'm not sure, or lime. I don't know. I don't know what you do at this time of year. So he's busily about, and we are back on our eating regimen. So we are really being good today. I had a half of a grapefruit for breakfast, and I'll have a little baby tuna fish, something like that, for a little snack for lunch. And then we're gonna have big salads this evening. I'm gonna have chicken with mine, and Chris will have fish and black beans or something like that with his. I'm not sure what he'll have with his quite yet, but I know I'm having chicken with mine. Then I'll add a veggie too. So no starches. We've done this is how I lose my weight. And guys, I'm kind of not very comfortable right now. I'm pretty comfortable in my plus size skin, but I'm not comfortable walking through my day at this weight. So I'm really gonna try to shed some pounds. I don't know whether I'll be successful. I don't need to know about diet plans. Y'all know that whole story. So I know how to lose it. I just need to buckle down and do it. So anyway, we started yesterday, so hopefully, what is this, the second day? Oh boy. Anyway, I'm gonna hop in my car, and I always think I'm not gonna have anything to say to you guys, and then I'm just ramble on. So anyway, hop in my car, and I'll tell you, Kristen, my story. Not that it's anything all that special, but it's special to us, so maybe you guys will find it fun and interesting. Okie dokie, here I am in my car, on my way to Hobby Lobby for my daughter this time, not for me. And as I said, she has asked me if I could pick her up some spring themed stickers, which I'm sure I can find, so that they can do sorting little projects at school. Oh, there goes a deer. Right, I wish I had the camera turned around. Shoot, usually where there's one, there's another that's going to come out here in my neighborhood. But I tell you guys, we have like tons of wildlife. I don't see its partner. Maybe it ran across first. They run in twos at least, if not more. And we should start to see mamas and babies coming up soon. Their mamas will be having their babies. Every spring we have at least one set of twins, and I'll tell you, last year we had a little, Chris came and got me. He said, now you gotta come out here with me. I said, what? Where are we going? And he said, I want you to come out here and take a look at what is laying behind our back fence. The back fence, we call it the back 40, and behind that fence. I said, what is it? He said, you gotta be really quiet. He said, now walk up really quiet. And I got a picture of it, and I'll stick a picture. After I tell you the story, I'll show you a picture. It was a little fawn. Just a little newborn fawn. And I thought, well, did its mama abandon it? What happened? Why is that little fawn there all by itself? Well, of course, me who has to know everything, and because I worry about all animals and wildlife and everything, I came in and Googled it, and apparently mamas leave their babies during the day, especially when they're nursing, and they go and find something to eat, because nursing takes a lot of energy from them, and they need to, replenish themselves. So they leave their fawns, and of course they remember where they leave them. Doesn't move. The fawn doesn't move. It goes into like this freeze zone, and it won't move. It won't move at all. So it won't attract any attention. So she had snugged that little fawn up against our fence, And oh my goodness, I wrung my hands and worried and worried and worried all night long. I was like, because it was in the evening when Chris took me out. I said, oh, that mama better come back and get that fawn. Don't leave him there, or her, whatever it was, there all night. And lo and behold, next morning, it was gone. Mama came and picked it up. I was like, phew. Picked it up. I was like, phew. I was still worried about that little fawn. But anyway, so as promised, let me tell you about Chris and my little story here. Not that it's anything that wonderful, but as I said, it's special to us. So I was 20 years old when we got married. And he was a little older than me, just 3 years older than me. And he had graduated from college and started working here in Virginia. And of course, as I said the other day, I lived in Maryland, and I worked with his first cousin. And I had been to her family, went to a family reunion with her, and like to some other family gatherings, so I knew her whole family. You know, I'd met her whole family. So she was having a get together one night, and I had invited just really close friends, and I was dating a paramedic at the time who never showed up that night. It was meant to be, you guys. And he had invited, or my friend had invited Chris and their aunt, which is my friend's mother and Chris's mother's youngest sister, who ended up being in our wedding. But she invited both of them to come to this little get together. It was no big deal. It was just like, you know, let's get together and play games and, you know, whatever, talk. So, and I already knew the aunt, you know, I'd already met her. And my friend told me, she said, well, she's bringing Chris. I said, well, who's Chris? She said, well, it's sorry about that. My phone turned off on me. I had not deleted. I used my phone in my car here, and I had not deleted a lot of the footage. Anyway, next thing I know, here walks their aunt in, and with Chris following her, and I was like, ooh, so that's Chris. Oh my gracious. You know, very good looking, I thought. And he had a nice pair of jeans on and a white shirt and boots. And I'd never dated anybody that wore boots before. I mean, really nice, you know, kind of boots. So, very handsome. And apparently he was smitten with me too. I was smitten with him right, like, within the first 2 seconds I saw him. And apparently he was with me too. And we talked and talked and talked and talked and talked for a long time that night. And let's see, I'm trying to think. So he went home that night and I went home. And so the next Tuesday, that was like on a Saturday night. And then the next Tuesday, now he lived down here. I lived where my dad lived. So it's, you know, quite a ways. The next Tuesday, my friend and I were headed back up to her apartment in a car. We had just gotten off work, and we're heading up there to go to dinner or something. And we see Chris pass us. Oh my gosh, that's Chris. Wasn't that Chris? And she went, yeah, I think it was. What in the world? So he had driven all the way up like that Tuesday, the very next Tuesday, to see if he could grab me and take me to dinner. So I was like, this guy, this is like somebody I'd never dated before. You know, he was something special to me, I thought. He was really courteous, very respectful, very smart. Chris is very smart. And as I've said, he's an engineer, mechanical engineer. And I had gone home like that Tuesday night, and you know, I'd seen him like twice. And I remember saying to my mama, Mom, I've met the guy I'm going to marry. And she went, now, honey, now, let's just think about this for a minute. He was like all freaked out, you know, and I said, no, Mama, I really have. I said, he's, oh, now, honey,
You know, she was just like not having that. Of course, my mom, well, I'll tell you my mom and dad's story another time, but anyway. So I was like, I really am. So she was like, now, you know, trying to dissuade me and trying to just get me to calm down here. Now, I was, you know, 20 years old. I knew what I wanted, I thought, you know, at 20. Certainly I knew I wanted Chris, you know, and I thought he wanted me too, which he did. And so the very next weekend, he comes up to my house, this time to meet my parents. As you all know, my dad stands about 6'3" and a half, big guy, and Chris is about 5'9", you know. He's about an inch taller than me. And he walks in the door and puts his hand right out and says, you know, nice to meet you, sir. And my dad's like, where'd you go to school, son? Because my dad was a principal, you know, and so he knew everybody I dated. And I even heard that he called the schools, or couple anyway, to make sure that the guys had good grades and whatever. I don't know. So he looked at Chris and he said, you know, where are you from, son? Or something like that. I don't know. Or where did you graduate from? And Chris said, from college, sir, you know. And Dad went, oh, well, I guess that'll be all right then, you know. And so the rest is history, you guys. Sorry, we met in August. We were engaged in October and married the very next May. So, and have been married ever since, very happily married. So that's my story about Chris and myself. So, anyway, I'm hushing up, and I'll catch you in a little while. You guys again today. Well, here I am in my kitchen, and I'm fixing to make that wreath for Kristen. So, I have everything set up here on my kitchen island, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around, and I'm going to go through all the supplies, and then go through the steps and make this wreath, and show you guys how to bring it all together. I had fun talking to you in the car a little while ago, but I'm trying to get all of this within 30 minutes, so I'm gonna hush up right now. So off we go, and I'll show you the supplies for this wreath. Okie dokie, here are all the supplies that I have collected to make this wreath. And again, this is for my daughter Kristen's little kindergarten classroom. So I'm going to be basing this entire wreath around these owls. And these are the colors that she has decorated her room in. She has owl curtains, and as I showed you yesterday in the car chat video, Chris made her those crate chairs. And they have all these colors in them. So picture these little dudes as we go through the supplies here. So obviously I got Gerber daisies to go along with this trio, and I will be placing them in a trio in the same order. In other words, a gold one, a blue one, and a pink one. Just see that as we go. I got some wooden letters to spell out what her little children call her. The first three, it just happens to be the first three letters of her last name. Miss Fun is what they call her. So I'll be putting them somehow down the one side of the wreath. I am going to be using a wreath form, metal wreath form, and I got this after Christmas. So, and this was like 90% off. So I'm gonna give you the total of everything here. Then I have this premium mesh ribbon, 1 inches by 24 feet. Everything I have here I paid 50% for, 50% off. This was $8, so $4 for that. So all told, I have $44.50 into this wreath. That's how much it's gonna cost me to make this wreath. Video, I also picked Kristen up some things for her little children to do in their classroom. and she wanted sticker eggs or spring stickers, and she said that Easter was fine. So I got her 4 bags at $5.99, 50% off, $2.50 each. And then I got her this. This will all be my treat for her. And I try to help her out as much as I can. She's a poor teacher, you know. I got her this little thing. This is really cute. I thought, would you like they can design their own Easter bunny. So I thought this was cute. So I got her a kit. And she has 19 children in her class, and this makes 24, so that should work out fine. Around here, I want to hot glue some pipe cleaners onto the back of these 3 letters, because that's what I will use to tie the letters onto the wreath, are these pipe cleaners. So this is going to take me a little while because I kind of have to stand and wait for it to dry. So I am going to speed up the camera because I only have so much time, and like I said, I don't like to make over 30-minute videos. So the concept is the same. You just put a dab of hot glue on and set the pipe cleaner on the glue, and I'm going to work my way through all of these letters. Move them out of my way. Notice I don't take the tags off. Why worry? It's not like I'm selling this to anyone. I'm just making this for my daughter, and she's going to hang it up in her classroom. So nobody's ever going to know but you guys and me that those tags are on the back. So now I want to do the same thing with these little fellas. I have 2 pipe cleaners. And it's kind of a crook in the wood there, so do that. Okie dokie, I'm back to start my wreath. And I've started to unroll this mesh, but I wanted to pause for a second to give you guys kind of a warning, a product warning. This Deco mesh, this particular Deco mesh, and pretty much all Deco meshes too, if I'm honest, tend to be really, want to stick to your clothes. So if you go to make one of these, be sure that you don't wear something that's going to snag and run on you, because it will stick to your shirts, and I've ruined a couple of pretty shirts using this. So anyway, as I always do, I let the mesh drop to the floor, and as I always do, I work with my wreath, quote, upside down. I don't look at it that way. A lot of people do though. I like working on them this way because I have so many accent pieces that I normally put on my wreaths that they tend to snug down a little bit better than if I had it the other way. So, and I always start on the outer ring, and I accordion it together and leave myself a little tuck so I can tuck it between the 2 rings, and put it down into the chenille tie and give it a couple of good twists and tuck it back in there. And I work in a looping fashion pretty much all the time. I keep saying I'm going to try something different, and I haven't yet. My loops for this wreath will be about 10 to 12 inches in length. I eyeball it. You can measure it if you want. I would say that's about 10 and a half, 11 inches. And so I kind of pull it out straight, and then I back it up and put it into the next chenille tie. And I work my way all the way around the outer ring in the same fashion. And I'm going to speed this up as we go so that I don't bore you guys to tears. So here we go. I'll come back when I get around here, and I'll show you how to transition over to the inner ring. There's no cutting involved. So here we go. Here's the next loop, 10 to 12 inches. Back it up, snug it down into the chenille tie, and give it a couple of good twists. And on I go. I'll be back. right, here I come around. I'm getting ready to snug my last loop into the very first chenille tie where I started. And I'm going to snug it right on top of where I started. I'm not going to be using these chenille ties for anything else, to tie anything else on the wreath, so I don't have to worry about just piling them on top. Makes no difference. So there we go. There's the outer ring all done. Now I'm going to transition over to the inner ring. And all you do is go to make your next loop, just like you did all the way around. And instead of going to the next natural outer rings chenille tie, we're going to just transfer over to the inner ring and go to the next, what would be your natural next inner ring chenille tie, and just snug it right down into there. And that starts the inner ring. And then we just work our way around in the same fashion, looping 10 to 12 inches, same size loops on the inner ring. And go all the way around, and I'll be back when I'm back around to the end. And I'll show you how I finish off this color. We're going to go around with teal in a minute. So here we go. I'll be right back. Alrighty, here I come into the last chenille tie that does not have deco mesh in it, and I snug it right down into there, tie it in there, and then I only want to make one more loop, and this is where I started on the inner ring right here. So I want to make one more loop, and I'm going to come right in and piggyback it on top of where I began. Trust me, it may look like we have a big jumble of deco mesh kind of right there, but don't worry, you won't see that in the end. So take your scissors and leave yourself a nice little tail that you can tuck behind, and then trim it off. Is we're going to start with our teal color. And again, this is 5.5 inches wide. And I'm going to do one row around the outer ring and one row around the inner ring. Grab it, let it drop to the floor, and this is easy to work with, you guys. This will be easy peasy compared to the bigger one. Start right where I stopped, leaving myself a tail, and then snug it right on top. These chenille ties, they'll disappear too, trust me. And I want to make these loops, you know, pretty, about 12 inches, I would say, because I want them to come up and over and show some movement between the white and the teal color. You might ask why I don't pile the two colors on top of one another and just go around that way. Well, for just the reason I mentioned, is because I like to see some movement between the white, and I never tucked that back in there, the white and the other color. So the same concept applies. Just going to work my way all the way around the outer ring and all the way around the inner ring, transferring over to the inner ring in the exact same manner. So I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to speed on through this. Y'all can watch me and fast forward a little bit, because I really am trying to keep these videos a little bit shorter, but you guys get the concept. 10 to 12 inches per loop, back it up, snug it down into the very next chenille tie, and on around we go. I'll be back when I've got all the color on. And you know what, you guys? I've just come around and I've done 2 rows. But you know what? I want more. I want more. So I'm going to take it around one more time and on the inner ring. Just kind of trying to snug it next to it. Just go around the center again. Inner ring, I want more of this blue on here. It's just not enough for me. It's pretty as all get out. All right, so I'm gonna go around the inner ring again. I'll be back. Here we come. This is the last one. So I'm gonna snug one more in here and then I'm gonna cut it off. And that made me feel better, adding that one more row. Okay, first thing I'm going to work on attaching are these letters. I've never tried to spell something on a wreath, so I'm going to see how I want to achieve this. I'm not sure. So I am learning along with you guys here today. Looks like that is the way it's going to need to go on, huh? So let me see if I can get it tied on this way. Okay, this goes to show you that sometimes the best laid plans in one's mind are not easy to bring to fruition. But I'm not giving up here. I have it in my head how I want this to look. And I'm going to end up having to glue the fun together here. So the first thing I want to do is get these fellas on here. Let me see, and I am going to have to use glue on this. There is no doubt about that. Glue is definitely needed on this wreath. Let me see if I can get these fellas on here. Doing double duty here with the pipe cleaners and there we go. Get them snug down in there, and I will glue them too. Now, let me see. I want to do trios of flowers. Like I want to do gold, blue, and then pink. In the same way that the little owls are lined up there. I'm going to line up the flowers the same way the owls are lined up. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to glue them into place. Well, I think that is looking pretty good. Now, I'm going to glue everything together and get it put up on my easel. Y'all don't need to watch me glue, but I'm going to get it all glued together, let it sit for a few minutes, and then I'm going to put it up on the easel, and hopefully we'll be back to show you the final product. This one I had to work pretty hard at, huh? Yeah, I'll be back. I'm going to be a gluing fiend here for a couple minutes. There we go with the bow. And now that I have that on there, I'm going to see if I can bend this down a little bit to show you. Okay, there's only one more thing I want to do now, and that is I'm going to cut 3 lengths of 12-inch pieces of this ribbon. There's one more place that needs just a little something more. I'll have to measure the second and third. Go. chevron on the ends. Remember how I do that? Fold them in half, lengthwise. Go to the edge and cut a deep V toward the center. Let's go to the other side. Make them even. Turn it, fold it in half. Go to the edge, cut a deep V. Then I want to come up here, see if I get this back in, and I'm going to put these right there. Mark. Right about at the center point. And then, remember this is for a kindergarten classroom, so we need it to be big and bold and pretty. So, there we go. How does that look? I think I'm liking that a little bit better. Of course, I'll tweak it once I get it around so I can see it better. I'm gonna leave the silver right there because I think that's pretty. Just leaves a little, gives you a little bit of bling. All right, I'm gonna stand back and look at this thing and see if it needs anything else. And if it doesn't, I'll come back and we'll close this video out. Be right back. Hey everybody, I'm back again. And I am finished. I am finished. This one gave me a bit of a challenge today, didn't it? Gracious. I'm so glad that I added the blue bow and the blue polka dotted. Almost puts you in the mind of Disney World a little bit with the polka dots or water drops, however you want to say it. I'm calling it polka dotted. But that really added the little bit of oomph that I wanted. So I love these little owls. I think they just look adorable on there. And I think the Gerber daisies just pull out the colors in the owls and spread it around the wreath. So all in all, I'm very happy with how this turned out. So there's another one in the books for us, guys. So I'll just say, until next time, you guys take good care. Bye-bye.